So first thing you always have to know is, I mean, you have to have the gas filled up. This is like the stupidest place in the world for a gas tank, right by a hot engine. Like, I don't know how they designed this. My other one, orange one up there, his gas tank is beneath the seat, which makes a lot more sense. But this has got the battery beneath the seat, and up there the battery's in here. So this is another really super poor design, that the gas tank, you can hardly even get to it, you know, and when you're pouring the gas, you have to like fiddle around. And this also will like hold a bunch of gas. So if you're pouring the gas in there and you spill any, you've got tons of gas sitting here by the hot engine. Which is why I have the rag in the sink down there that had gasoline on it. But hopefully, you know, you won't do that. But you should fill it up prior to each mow, because it uses more than a full tank to mow the lawn. And then of course click it on really well. Really proper practice is to check the oil before you start, you know, each time. And it's right where it's supposed to be. I mean, it's almost exactly a new mower. It's just like oil, just like everything else. And there's some rags up there in the shed where these guys live. When you're parking them, there's two of them in there, so you just have to be really careful, you know, to get it in there without knocking the chute off and, you know, not hitting the other one. They both fit in there perfectly. So I left it really, really dirty last night, which is the way that you don't leave it, just because I wanted to be able to demonstrate how much crud this thing, underneath here, you should clean it out. Even sometimes, you know, in the middle of a mow, like I just mowed for, what, an hour yesterday or something, and it got really, you know, you got to clean all this out. And then there's a little device at both of the hose, where the hoses are, one at the Echo Cottage and the other at the garden, where on this other side of the, wait, let me see, make sure that's on the other side over here first. Oh yeah, on the other side over here, you'll see this little thing right here is, it's like there's a orange thing up at the hose up there, and you stick that on there, and you turn the hose on full blast, and you get on the mower and you turn the blade on, and it goes around there, and then the water shoots out all the junk from underneath, because underneath here it gets clogged up, you know, and you've got all this wet grass creating rust underneath the mower deck. So you want to clean all this out really well, you know, in between each mowing, or even sometimes during the mowing. And what happens if the grass is really thick, and even though it's only been like 7 days since I mowed down here, it was so thick that when it's super thick, you can either only cut, you know, a couple feet wide. This is a 48-inch deck, so it's mowing basically from, you know, the blades hitting from this side of the deck to the other side of the deck over here, right about here. So if you have a super thick grass, I only mow about this wide, so it's not stressing out the whole thing at one time, or the motor will die. And you just got to keep doing it, but hopefully you won't let it get that long. But it's so thick that even if it's not super long, it's just a lot of grass. So how you start it originally is you can sort of like priming it. You push this that way a couple times. It just puts gas into the motor a little bit. And you have to put your foot all the way down, your left foot onto this clutch, and then just turn it down. It starts right up. I mean, this thing is really amazing. So if I take my foot off the clutch, if I was on a hill, I would be rolling. So what you can do to park it is there's a parking brake right here. You just pull this thing up with a key, and that secures the mower. It's not going to go anywhere. Okay? If I have that off, and we had to do this yesterday because I got stuck in a hole, this is what controls the transmission back here. If this little thing is in, this piece of metal is in, it's when you're going to drive the mower. When it's out, you just pull it up and out. Then the transmission is disengaged and you can push it. So I have to push it a lot. And also, if I get stuck, sometimes I just pick it up and move it over. You know, from the back, it's pretty easy to move it. But, so you want to disengage the transmission prior to doing anything like that. So you just push it in, let it go down. Now it's ready to mow. I think if I had the transmission disengaged and I put the gas on, it would just sit there. So this pedal here, the top one, is forward and this is reverse. And it goes really slow in reverse. It's really slow. This button is to engage the blades. So if it was on right now, if you get off the machine will just shut down. And that's just a safety precaution that's built in. But what you can do is if you have the machine in park and you don't have the blade running, you can get off in the middle and go pick up a rock and then get back on. I did that all day yesterday, even though it doesn't seem like there's rocks. When you're mowing along, what happens is these tires will kick up a rock, or if you're on sort of a hill and there's a rock there, the deck will actually like dig it up and you can sort of feel it. Yesterday I hit a rock and it got in there, it shut the whole thing down, which I was glad it didn't break anything, because very easily it can break the mandrels and the blades. So if something happens where you hit a rock, just quickly turn the machine off and disengage the blades and turn it off. And then thoroughly check out the situation before re-engaging the blades. What I did yesterday is I could see the rock. It was ending up between the wheel and the deck. And so I just had to like move this to get the rock out. The other day I had to actually dig the ground out to get the rock out. Let's see there. Yeah, so what I did was I just tested the blades by moving them around, and I can see that it's moving in here, so I know that nothing's ruined, because sometimes if you hit something, it can break the belts too, and then nothing will go around. So, okay, so I always leave it run at full speed. This is a cruise control, which you'll definitely never use here. On the super flat level ground, like most of the driveways, you can run it at about 4. Now that other one, if you end up having to use it, it has a completely different system. It only has, I think, 1 through 4. So yeah, it has to be different. But you can see how low the blade is, right? I mean, how low the deck is. And so if you're running along, and even on the driveway, sometimes there's little, there's those blue rock that are sticking up a little bit. So just as I'm going, I just pull it up, and then put it back down, pull it way up to 6, but never go lower than 4. And if you're doing super iffy areas, put it on 6, or don't do it and weed whack that area, just because until you really get to know the lawn and you do it a lot, you won't know. Okay, the other thing that happens is if the blade is engaged and you go to reverse, it'll shut the machine down, because I think it's a safety thing, you think there's a kid or somebody behind you. So what you can do is right here on this where the key is, there's a place that you can move it to make it so that when you reverse, it won't shut off. So I pretty much always have it in that right there. But if you have it over here where it will be when I first start it, then when I back up, it will shut down. And I'll show you that right now. So I'll just start it, pushing the clutch. watch when you're mowing is you just got to get like super awareness about where you are in space. It's a super, like, I am so mentally fatigued when I get done, because here, you know, if you're at slight angle, you can hit something on this side. If you're, you know, even though this isn't, you know, it doesn't have a blade on it, you still gotta account for it in your space. So when I go around trees, I usually try to blow the material out. If you don't want more weeds growing in there, you sort of have to blow it out. So around the macnut trees where it's nicely weeded, and also the avocado trees, I go around this way so it blows the material out. And also, like, along here I go so it's blowing the material out, and here, you know, so it's blowing the material out, so it's not blowing it back on something. And also, speaking of that, like Lakshmi, I don't let her be around me when I'm mowing the lawn, because this thing can throw a rock as well as the weed whacker. So what I ask people to do is, first, you around the trees, you hand weed everything, like close to the trees, because if you scrape it with a lawnmower, you know, it can kill a tree. And also, usually, most of the trees here, we're going to have to weed whack around the base of the tree anyway, so, but even hand do it about a foot or two out so that the weed whacker doesn't hit the tree. It's real easy to hit something with a weed whacker. So, yeah, I think it's just about being, like, extremely conscious about where the rocks are, and then after you get done mowing, please go around and pick up all the rocks. I mean, I walk around, even, like yesterday, if I thought I hit a rock, I would stop immediately, put it in the park, get off, you know, disengage the blade, get off the thing. So, but afterwards, please pick up rocks. That's our main thing. And fill in holes. Like yesterday, I ended up in a hole, which I didn't even know was there. I have no idea how this hole all of a sudden just got there. But it was. So most of the time you can see, we try to not create booby traps in the lawn where, you know, you like fill in a hole with just a bunch of grass and you're in the hole, or you're up you're covering the rock so that the rock, then you find it with a lawnmower. So yeah, between 4 and 6, I think, is where we'll be mowing. These are the lights, which you want to make sure those are not on. When you store the battery, will be dead. There is a battery charger up in the lawnmower shed, and extension cord. I think that's it. Besides, like, I thought we could, not Kyle, because I know you gotta go, but you can shut that off.
Okay.